Test, test. There we go. Got the mic on.
These 7 continents, there is thousands of continents. This is why they have the Antarctic Treaty. The only place that the whole world agrees on, all along here, that you can't go here because they don't want you discovering what's beyond the ice wall. You know, when they're saying they're gonna colonize Mars, these are the lands of Mars, beyond the ice wall. Yeah, this is what it actually is. It is infinite. It is massive. This is where all the extraterrestrials are coming from. Different beings, dragons. This is how God created everything. You just need the eyes to see peace and love. Oh, why don't you fly to the edge, bro? You're gonna fall off the edge.
Oh, we got your ass. We got your ass now. Every record has been destroyed or falsified. Any book that had the true knowledge was deliberately burnt. Every picture has been repainted and whitewashed. Every statue and building has been renamed. Even street names have been changed, and every date has been altered. Where the J used to be, they changed it into a 1, which added 1,000 years to our timeline, which gave them enough time to make up a new version of history. This is a picture of the state capitol building in Texas, and it's staged. They want you to believe that they built these buildings, but all you will see is some work being done to the roof. Is work really being done? Or are they really just dismantling the Tartarian tech? And in all of these pictures, when you look into the sky, it's always been whitewashed. What are they hiding? In this picture, they've literally drawn in the sky. Come on, brother. Like, look at this building here. And what do you find? A man on a horse and a wagon. And when you look closely, what's leaned up against the building? A ladder. No hammer, no chisel, just a ladder. These man was working with the bare minimum. Any picture you try find of these buildings being constructed, all you're gonna find is a plank of wood on the floor and the building already built up in the back. But in reality, this is what was going on. They had to dig these buildings up from out of the mud, and the reason why they had to block out the sky, well, that's a story for another video. Oh, we got your ass. We got.
Not enough people are aware that Netflix is a vessel for mass psychological warfare. The co-founder of Netflix, Mark Randolph, is the great-nephew of Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays is known as the father of propaganda, and Edward Bernays himself is the nephew of Sigmund Freud, who's known as the father of psychoanalysis. So Bernays took his understanding of Freudian psychology and applied it to mass communication and manipulation of the collective unconscious. He worked for both the CIA and the military in the realm of psychological operations. And in 1928, Bernays wrote a book titled Propaganda. 5 years prior, he wrote a book titled Crystallizing Public Opinion. The cherry on top, though, is Bernays' involvement with the Vatican. Cardinal Francis Spellman, the Archbishop of New York, sent Bernays to the Vatican to learn and study the Jesuits' methods of mental programming. This visit took place in 1957. The same year, the papal bull Miranda Porcis was issued, which publicly commands all Roman Catholics to seize as much control of media as possible, whether that be through television, movies, or news outlets. For a little more context on Jesuit involvement in programming through entertainment, the Hollywood Production Code was written by Jesuit priest Daniel Lord S.J., and the Jesuits have been producing theatrical work since the time of their inception, and even helped write the works of Shakespeare through Sir Toby Matthew, who was a close friend of Francis Bacon and the Rosicrucians. So we know these guys have an affinity for programming through media. Ignoring
Netflix is okay.
Between their founder,
Amazon Prime's got some good stuff on it.
Edward Bernays, let's examine Netflix a little further. The wife of Mark Randolph and
Hulu
the
is also
CEO
pretty good.
of Netflix was Jesuit trained at 2 different private Jesuit.
Is it? Just cooking food.
Let me break it down. This rapper's final moments were
You guys know that 1913 was the year we actually lost control of our country, right? Oh, and just for historical context, World War I started in 1914. I mean, look, I'm sure that was a coincidence, but let me just tell you all the things that were created in 1913. First, the Federal Reserve, which is neither federal nor has any reserves. It's basically a private bank that just controls all of our money. Second thing created in 1913 was the IRS. And I'm sure it's just a coincidence that it was created the exact same year that a private bank took over all of our money. Yeah, I'm sure it's a coincidence that that was the year they started taxing you. Like, you work, they print, and then you pay them back with interest. Yeah, that makes sense. The next thing created was the Rockefeller Foundation. Yeah, and let's be real, that was all about philanthropy. It's not like they took control of medicine, education, science, and basically the health of the world. I mean, let's be real, all they were doing was donating money. Yeah, it's not like they were buying control of everything. Oh, and that worked out so well, right? Because people are healthier and more self-sufficient than ever, right? Oh yeah, also
It did work out. It worked out pretty well.
Cancer Society. I mean, that sounds like a good thing, right? That can't possibly be bad. Except it was completely funded by extremely wealthy people. But even though it was a charity, they never really gave to anyone. No, they just took their money and invested in pharmaceutical drugs. Oh, and chemo. Yeah, instead of taking that money and investing in companies that were trying to find a cure, no, we'll just invest in companies that use chemicals from the military that were later banned. Yeah, that's a good thing to keep fucking putting into people. Then also created in 1913, the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, which sure, yeah, it's about civil rights. Yeah, totally. It's not about censoring people or, silencing critics. And then in 1914, we had World War I. And that became the first war ever that private industry profited from war. The private industry that's owned by the same families that created the Fed, the IRS, the Rockefeller Foundation, the American Cancer Society, the ADL. Again, just a coincidence. Oh, I'd also like to point out that a year prior to 1913, 1912, yeah, that was when the Titanic sank. And it's funny how three of the wealthiest individuals on that ship were the loudest voices opposed to central banking. Oh, and there's also the little tidbit.
That makes a lot of
was
sense.
supposed to be on that boat, but he canceled at the last second. But yeah, that's conspiracy. That's tinfoil hat talk. So what's happened since 1913? Well, the dollar has lost 99% of its value. Our debt has just become like a number that we ignore. Middle class getting fucked daily. War is now an industry instead of a conflict. Oh yeah, and your money isn't real anymore. Like, it's just not real. It's not backed by anything. It's just numbers on a paper that private bank prints. So guys, look, if you're worried about America being conquered or, a rebellion or it being taken over, I just want you to recognize that you're more than 100 years too late. That shit already happened in 1913. You guys know that 1913 was the year we actually lost control.
Yeah, that's pretty insane right there.
You guys know that 1913 was the year we
Valentina,
Let's try to find some videos here.
Valentina, vamos a dormir.
You guys know that 1913
The real story of the Tartarian Empire has been hidden from us for centuries. The Tartarians were a vast, advanced civilization that built structures and had technology far beyond what we have been led to believe was possible for their time. But why were they erased from history? It is because they knew about the hermetic principles of frequency and energy. They lived in accordance with the natural laws of the universe. They utilized that knowledge to be able to build structures like these. They harnessed free energy, built advanced infrastructure, and held the secrets to increasing the longevity of human life. The reason people using horses and carts were able to build these types of structures is because they were not using horses and carts. The images of the past were altered. Tartarians used these laws of the universe, frequencies and vibrations, to shift to the dimension above. But there's more. This knowledge connects to the ancient Egyptians.
Yeah, it has to do a lot with the ether. And not really,
How were they wiped off the face of the earth? The Great Reset was a
not really
series
sure on
of
that one, though.
catastrophic events orchestrated to wipe Tartaria off the map.
That will involve
We
a
are
little bit
talking
more
about
research.
fires and biological warfare. I mean, you've seen all these buildings with doors and windows halfway in the ground. Do you think that's normal? The real story of the Tartarian Empire has been hidden from us for centuries. The Tartarians were a vast, advanced civilization that...
So I'm reading old books. I'm finding The Beginning of All Histories by 656. Interesting. I don't know, guys. Should I buy the book? Also, always in these old paintings, it already looks ancient, like the remnants of Atlantis. They're rebuilding back in those days. Maybe it's a Freudian slip in the artwork, but once you paint it being brand new. So I'm reading old books.
Hey guys, I'm Billy, and apparently I'm alternative. I'm alternative.
I think we all remember the Challenger explosion that took place in 1986 that tragically took the lives of all 7 astronauts on board. And someone allegedly found almost all of those astronauts alive and well. Now, if you'll notice, they all have
Yeah, I've seen this one before.
faces.
It looks
years later,
pretty
They
insane.
are the same age.
Now let's focus on Dick Scobie for a second.
Like-
His full name at the time of the Challenger mission is
Like, there's too many similarities in
If you don't know
the
Dick
in
is
the
short for
faces. I don't
Richard,
know.
We'll get to that. Francis Richard Scobie would be around 75 years old if he were alive today. Now this man, Richard or Dick Scobie, is alive today, and also is currently the age that Francis Scobie would be. Now if you were to show someone these two photos side by side, they would unquestionably believe that it is the same person, right? I mean, just look at the brow, look at the eyes, look at the nose, look at the little gap in the teeth even. Now, Dick Scobie today currently runs an advertising company called Cows and Trees, and this is their logo. Kind of an interesting choice, wouldn't you agree? As of course, many people are making this comparison.
My God.
115
There's been an explosion.
Velocity 2,900 feet per second, altitude 9 nautical miles, downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
Now, entertaining the possibility that this is some kind of conspiracy, I'm sure back then they didn't really think that the internet would be around today where people could do.
China just dropped the world's first 3D world generation model, and it's completely free. It's called Hunyuan 3D World Model 1.0 by Tencent, and it can create entire explorable 3D environments.
No one realized Ozzy's soul was...
That is true of spinning objects in space. So a deck of cards makes some very interesting games and demonstrations that you can do in space.
No, 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 no.
This guy's doing a flip right here, and the guy next to him just reaches up and grabs a harness that's right on his hip.
I gotta pause it real quick. I'm gonna pause it because the funniest part to me, well, there's several funny parts by the way, but the lady in the background with the hair, it's like, did someone not think that like we've got to make her hair look like that, right? It's got to be standing up, dude. It is hard as a rock. It's not moving.
It's a hairspray.
It's like We must be in space. Look at her hair. Like, obviously, there's this thing called hairspray.
This guy's always in it, man. He's the biggest clown, yeah.
He's the worst. Like, they gotta be like, hey, Bob, we gotta get you out of here, bro. Like, you're blowing our...
Look at this.
Let me reach up there.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Oh, kung fu.
Here, I'm gonna pause it real quick. I'm gonna pause it real quick. So
we have to. We gotta expand.
So I imagine this guy in the green that's doing this flip. Like when they're practicing, they're like, "Oh, this guy's got the shit, man. He nails every flip, and you can never tell, right?" So he's like the practice king of flips. But then whenever they go to film it, he gets nervous and he spoofs it up and grabs his harness because he is the most.
He's Ray Finkel.
Yeah, terrible, man.
Hier is het Amerikaanse toilet en dat is interessant. Het is hetzelfde toilet als bij de Russen, maar interessante systemen. Hier achter deze panelen wordt de urine opgevangen en
He just broke that piece right off there.
wordt de urine opgevangen en
Crazy. That's pretty. Pretty insane.
They say history
this one
repeats.
here.
But what if that's because it was reset, not once, not twice, but 7 times? Each one leaving behind ruins, myths, fractured memory, and buildings that didn't match the story. This is a timeline you weren't taught, but your soul remembers. Here are the 7 known resets, the ones that cracked the grid and split the story. Reset 1, the Great Deluge, the flood of all floods. Not just Noah, this flood echoes across all cultures. Atlantis drowned, Lemuria shattered, entire continents lost, the Earth's grid was washed clean, but some of us returned. Reset 2, the tower collapse, the fall of unified sound known as Babel. Or the sound tower collapse, one language became many. The tuning fork was shattered, and humanity forgot how to build with vibration. Reset 3, the fire, rain, and plasma wars. The sky turned red cosmic plasma storms. Gods warring in the heavens. Structures melted, some still fused in place. This was when stars fell and the firmament fractured. Reset 4, the mud floods buried in silence. Advanced cities were suddenly beneath 12 feet of mud. No record of the disaster. Just repurposed buildings and children sent to start over. This one hit Tartaria hardest. Reset 5, the phantom time edit. The years that never happened. Entire centuries inserted. Fake rulers, false wars. A giant pause on memory. A timeline distortion to hide the fall. Reset 6, the 1800s, 1900s tech wipe. The stealing of light, free energy vanished. Ether tech erased. Tesla silenced. Orphans reprogrammed. World fairs used as destruction events. This was the beginning of the modern lie. Reset 7, the digital grid activation, 2001. When the towers fell, twin towers were frequency anchors. When they fell, so did the last natural harmonics. Surveillance began. Digital mind grid launched. And another veil descended, but there's an 8th forming now. And it's not a collapse, it's a remembering. This time the reset doesn't erase us, it awakens us. And you're here because you were meant to make it through this one.
Good stuff right there.
Have we just found exactly how AI was given back to us? Back engineered and brought back into the public's view. We all understand at this point that the timeline, the one that we are currently living in,
I know we had AI
something
before
massive
this.
happened. Where technology begins flying back.
It only makes sense with the way some of these buildings are made.
Everything from the car, the plane, the train, the phone, the TV, the light bulb, and power tools. You name it. Where we are told that nothing happened before this for millions of years. Yet the buildings, the structures, they tell us a much different story. of an advanced previous civilization here before all of us, before a worldwide massive reset. And what happened in the 1920s was the beginning of our timeline, finding artificial intelligence and welcoming it back into the world, where we have seen that in the early 1900s, they begin excavations in Egypt underneath the Sphinx. Yet we are all told and have shown that Zahi Hawass and the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities repeatedly state that there is nothing beneath the Sphinx. No chambers, no tunnels. We have shown that the
Yeah,
Seraphim of
there
Saqqara
is.
hold massive
There's so many things that
Yet we are
we're not being told about
It
this.
was just for bulls, and there were never any bull skeletons found. All of the tombs were empty and opened, telling us that they never found advanced technology at the site. Just a bunch of sand and sticks. The problem with all of this, we saw that in 1991, seismic scans were conducted, revealing rectangular cavities beneath the Sphinx's front paws and along its sides. They were not natural. Yet Zahi Hawass lies
Nah, there's probably a spaceship underneath
We've
it.
covered this guy. He is not to be trusted at this point in time. Have we just found exactly how AI was given back?
They tell you the moon landing was humanity's greatest achievement, but what if it was humanity's greatest deception? And it was filmed in Hollywood? Look at the first Universal Studios logo from 1927. It shows Earth as seen from space. But the first official photo of Earth from space wasn't taken until 32 years later. How did they know what our planet looked like? But it doesn't stop there. And this is where it gets truly interesting. Neil Armstrong, the
Aliens.
first man on the moon.
That's probably right.
Who was he, really? In official databases.
We had cave paintings of what our solar system looked like. How'd they know that?
Astronauts aren't in a science center. They're on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This wasn't a scientific mission. It was the most expensive movie ever made. The proof is in the photos themselves. Why are there no stars in the
I bet the
sky?
residuals were like crazy on that filming.
As if lit by multiple sources on a film set, they couldn't even get the size of the Earth right. This isn't space. It's a soundstage. The algorithms don't like it when people talk about this. They could.
All you need for your body to repair itself. Ready? Get this. A surplus of energy in a hydrated alkaline environment, and your body will repair everything. So I'm going to explain what that means. Every cause of cancer, the root cause, is the cell being bathed in acid. So another word for a cancer cell is an acid eater. Your cells eat oxygen in an alkaline environment. When they are starved, they're dropped in an acid environment. They have no choice but to.
Why can't we solve the moon landing debate? We planted 6 flags on the moon in 1969. Nobody moved those flags, right? We can't point a telescope at the moon and find these flags? No, we don't have a telescope that...
I'm on the outside.
Did you know that you are the only living person on Earth right now, and everyone else is just a product of your imagination?
Imagine that.
There's a
It's
theory
all,
where you are actually the only living person
simulation
right now,
theory.
the only consciousness that truly exists. It's called the egg theory. Your family, friends, the strangers you pass on the street,
Oh, the
all of them
alkaline
exist because your
diet.
mind doesn't want to feel
Yeah,
alone.
it's about
Since you
eating
are the sole
different
true consciousness,
kinds
you
of
will live
foods.
every possible life.
Good for
that has
you.
This is an underwater sea cables map, and it literally proves that the Earth is flat and geocentric. If you didn't know this, these sea cables literally connect all of us. Cables are responsible for carrying approximately 95%.
Yeah, I can go back to that one if you want. See the alkaline shit.
I'm on the outside.
All you need for your body to repair itself. Ready? Get this. A surplus of energy in a hydrated alkaline environment, and your body will repair everything. So I'm going to explain what that means. Every cause of cancer, the root cause, is the cell being bathed in acid. So another word for a cancer cell is an acid eater.
Dropping
Your
that
cells
acid,
eat
brah.
oxygen in an alkaline environment. When they are starved, they're dropped in an acid environment. They have no choice but to turn to eating acid. And then they grow and spread like a cancer. So if you starve them, don't give them any more acid, guess what happens? Shrinkage. Tumors, cysts. A cyst is the body walling off that acid pocket. Every cyst and bump you have is a storage of acid. Toxins and drugs, they're all acidic. This is what the human body really looks like. Okay? This is actually an animal, though. But it should be, this particular cut should be solid meat. It should be solid, healthy muscle tissue. But we feed the animals this on purpose because the rippling of the fat makes it taste better. But this is what we're doing to us, too. We're pouring in so much acid that the body has no choice but to push it out everywhere it can. So it creates fat pockets.
That's why you gotta work out.
Enough, there's going to be a big tumor there.
And eat
there's going to
good
be a
shit.
cyst there. It's going to turn cancerous. Does everybody understand this? It's not rocket science.
Follow for more.
Yeah.
They tell you the moon landing.
It's not rocket surgery.
Have we just found exactly how
Shrinkage.
If anyone's
Ew, what's that?
believe that we went
Of like
Take a
the
look at these
fat.
horses and wagons, right next to the completed palace, built in less than 4 years. And honestly, it looks like it's been there for a long time. We have these wood planks set up that they would use to go from the paved sidewalk from the old world to these dirt roads. If this horse and wagon community built
The reason why they were able to build those things was they were really good at Minecraft.
But they didn't. They went and got a wood plank because that was what they were capable of in that time period. They were capable of a wood plank as their ramp to walk from the sidewalk to the dirt road. They found these buildings and they were occupying the old world civilization's work. And we're still doing this today, all over the world. In 1870, the first Palmer House was completed. In 1871, a year later, a tipped over lantern and tons of bombs go off and destroy the whole city. Now the whole city was destroyed. And I'm only bringing this up because it's to show what our civilization today is capable of so that we can compare. We had to clean up Ground Zero in New York, but it took our civilization within the last 25 years, 8 months to clean up 2 buildings.
Just a trifle down payment, mortgage, and 2 living parents with a pen. Who can sign?
So that clip was from Boy Meets World, and
That's crazy.
In 1999, and I couldn't help myself, so I had to run the
$80,000 over a 30-year mortgage.
$80,000 in 1999. Now, Corey and Topanga were high school students without a job, so they couldn't qualify. But what about the median household income back then? It's $40,000. Which is about $3,300 a month, and a 3% down payment on the median house was only $2,400. So somebody in Philly in 1999 didn't even have to save 1 month's income to put a down payment on this house, and the interest rates were around 7%, just like they are today. So with principal, interest, property taxes, insurance, and private mortgage insurance, the total payment was $750 a month to get the median house in Philly, and you're making $3,300, so that's about what, 25%? So a family making 40 grand could take care of their entire mortgage in just 1 week. And then I wanted to see, well, let's just see what happened to the prices in Philadelphia, because we know the averages around the country, but let's look at Philly. $80,000 was the median price in 1999. It's now $250,000, so below the average for the nation, but the income was $40,000 for the median.
That's still
household,
pretty.
and now
That's
it's
still pretty low.
So the housing price, even in Philly, went up over 200% in the last 25 years, but the income only went up 53%. So even in smaller cities, metro cities, no matter where we look, I don't think.
Yeah, still pretty low.
This is the biggest scam in the world. They buy cardboard boxes at rock-bottom prices and turn them into expensive dog food. Unaware customers rush to buy it because of its tasty flavor. Every morning, in shady, hidden factories, truckloads of raw materials arrive. Recycled, discarded cardboard boxes.
What is
Their
this?
surfaces are yellowed, damp, moldy.
That's how you make
sometimes
McDonald's
mixed with
patties.
plastic tape and fungus. To them, what should be trash for the landfill is a treasure for making dog food. First, the cardboard is ground into tiny pieces by roaring shredders, then dumped into a mixing pool with large amounts of water to form pulp. The smell
he's
is
going on.
sour
He's
and
talking about
foul,
this.
enough
This is a
to
real
make
thing.
person gag. But to make it taste like meat, workers pour in artificial flavors and colorings. Beef, chicken, milk, whatever flavor they want, they create. Once mixed, the pulp is pushed into high-temperature dryers. Moisture evaporates quickly, and the pulp is baked until it's hard and brittle, then cut into uniform small pellets. They look like premium baked dog food, but feel like dried cardboard. In the final step, the fake dog food is packed into colorful bags with reassuring brand names and ingredient lists placed in pet stores or sold online, suddenly becoming high-priced, quality dog food. You may wonder why dogs eat it so happily. That flavor is all thanks to the chemicals, but over time, the cardboard fibers can't be digested.
That's gross.
Video
Now you know.
where a man attaches a copper wire and flies the drone up to about 115 meters and shows off the ether in action.
All right, I'm gonna stop at 115 and hold steady. All right, it didn't blow up yet.
Oh, by the way, meet the aerial film crew. I just thought this was a cool shot. Oh yeah, I'm getting shocked right now. This time I just used the electroscope as a quick voltage check. Woo! Now that's a few thousand volts right there. Alright, let's see if there's enough current to make this Franklin bell work. Oh, dude! Freaking working, buddy! Yeah! It's a really cool process. The aerial wire places a positive charge on this can, which then influences the foil ball to deliver electrons from the grounded can, which is directly connected to Earth. The clouds finally opened up, so I connected up the corona motor. Like before, one side was connected to ground, while the other was attached to the aerial wire. And after just a few seconds... Hey, she's spinning! This is just remarkable. It never really spun that fast, but I just sat and enjoyed the miracle. I mean, I quite literally was siphoning energy straight from the atmosphere. This motor was operating off of several kilovolts, which you could actually hear if you stopped the motor and brought your finger near the aerial wire. That's the sound of coronal discharge.
You could essentially have one of those on your house. That'd probably help. Solar panels are pretty good, though.
Why don't you fly to the edge, bro? You're gonna fall off the edge. Why don't you fly to the edge, bro? Because there is no edge, you dipshit. You're in the middle here. These 7 continents, there is thousands of continents. This is why they have the Antarctic Treaty. The only place that the whole world
If you look,
agrees on.
it says like mermaid lands on there, right here.
You can't go here because they don't like discovering what's beyond the ice wall. You know when they're saying they're gonna colonize.
Oh, there's Mars. There it is.
Mars, beyond the ice wall. Yeah, this is what it actually is. It is infinite. It is massive. This is where all the extraterrestrials are coming from. Different beings, dragons. This is how God created everything. You just need the eyes to see peace and love. Oh, why don't you fly to the edge, bro?
That'd be cool if that was true. Like,
Survival guide. You're walking down an empty street. Only a few street lights spill yellow light on the asphalt.
The Bible is not the Word of God, and even the people that say that don't really believe it. In John chapter 5, Jesus said, "Search the Scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, but they wouldn't come to Jesus so that they may have life." But he also says in that same chapter to those Scripture readers, he said they read the Scriptures, but he knew them. They did not have the Word of his Father abiding in them.
I talk about
Jeremiah 8, verse 8
in the
said,
comments here.
"The wrote lies into the Bible, and Jesus came and rebuked
The Book of
scribes and
Enoch.
called them of their father the devil."
Probably where
He said that they kept the
a lot of
tradition
the
of men,
information is
called them
coming
the traditions
from.
of God, so they were writing lies. Now Paul told the Corinthians the rest he would set in order whenever he came.
Nikola Tesla actually rediscovered this technology. He told us that magnetism was the key to free energy. It was the key to free energy, guys, and this is why they got rid of him. Tesla did not die of old age. He was offed and all his work was stolen and suppressed and buried because free energy is the greatest threat to the current system, and it's readily available for us. Look at this, guys.
That's how you do it. You just put the magnet on the car to push it.
The motor's working by magnetism. Copper and magnets. That's all you need. It's very simplistic. There's no wires, no nothing. It's just an unlimited source of energy. Unlimited source of energy. Just magnetism. It's all we need for free power. But the people that try to, give us these things, they end up missing or dead or all the above. So, figure it out. Peace and love. Nikola Tesla actually rediscovered this technology. He told us that magnetism was the key to free
Yeah,
energy.
this is how you build it. You get those two magnets.
And this is why they got rid of him.
And
Tesla
some
did
like
not die
copper.
of old age. He was offed and all his work was stolen and suppressed and buried because free energy is the greatest threat to the current system and it's readily available for us. Look at this, guys. The motor's working by magnet.
That'd be cool experiment. You can probably build one of those at the house.
1976 was at around 9 million people.
I'm not sure how much energy it will crank out though.
6 million in just the last 220 years. So if we do the math on this, the population is decreasing at a rate of 83.92% in just the last 220 years. And this fact alone.
It's a hidden battery.
This fact
Yeah.
shows that in the year 1100.
Yeah, all those perpetual energy machines.
According to the math, based on data,
The hardest part is where to hide the battery.
The population of England would sit at 37,898 people in the entire country, having only 37,000 people in the year 1141, and knocking out palaces is not mathematically probable at all. You would think that there would be a single argument that goes the mainstream history.
There's one way to fix the population decrease.
This type of stuff
I don't have to spell that out.
every single time you go deeper.
They never wanted you to know this. While most people live trapped in the third dimension, chasing money, status, and approval, as a small group has already learned to operate in a state where time and space are no longer barriers. You, without realizing it, already tap into this frequency from time to time, but you have been conditioned to ignore it. This knowledge has circulated in restricted circles for decades, used to accumulate power, shape events, and attract opportunities. Meanwhile, you have been trained to believe that everything depends on struggle, sacrifice, and waiting. Every day trapped in that logic is another day, and your energy feeds systems that survive on your distraction. Now, there is a chance to break this pattern and access the real mechanism of reality creation, the one that turns intention into event and desire into fact. But this window will not remain open forever.
Third
Those who
dimension.
do not adjust their frequency now will remain stuck in the old machine. The decision is in front of you.
Yeah, right here it says the 3D
Most
is
people live under
sculpture,
the comfortable illusion that
4D
reality
is sculptor
stable,
mind,
fixed, and obedient to
5D is
immutable
a
laws
studio
that conventional
with his
science
works,
describes. But
6D is
only
a
partial
concept of
narrative,
art,
carefully shaped to keep attention
7D
locked
is the
on what is
void.
visible
I don't
and
understand
measurable.
this. It's about my pay
Behind
grade.
the solid appearance of things, there is a dynamic vibrational field where consciousness and energy intertwine. And it is there that the true architecture of human experience is designed. What we call the physical world is nothing more than one layer of a much broader spectrum of existence. Quietly, a portion of humanity already operates beyond it, even without realizing it. The transition underway is not political, nor is it technological in the superficial sense. It is a mutation in the very way of perceiving and interacting with reality, the passage from the third to the fifth dimension. This is not about moving as you are, just like multiple radio frequencies coexist in the air. What changes?
Gobbledygook, just talk. Oh.
Did you know?
Don't know where that was going.
1959, deep beneath Siberia, the Soviets launched one of the Cold War's most blasphemous experiments. Their goal wasn't weapons, but to clone Jesus Christ. Scientists claimed they extracted DNA from
What
holy
year?
relics of destroyed churches.
It says some like old ass time ago.
With blood
Yeah,
of
right.
children, using genetic engineering to create a living savior. The first attempts failed. The children all died under
AI is fucking
So
crazy.
they built artificial wombs and fed the embryos with a secret formula. 3 infants were born. One lived only 33 days. The second survived until age 12. And the third vanished without a trace.
Yeah,
The
right.
last record appeared.
It sounds like a
in 1980.
creepypasta.
A leaked video from Georgia showed a young man whispering, "This time I won't die on the cross." Soon after, every scientist was
Rick, if every country's in debt, who's lending all the money?
Morty, don't pull at that thread. It's holding together the illusion of global stability. Countries issue debt, then other countries, banks, pension funds, and investors buy that debt.
That's pretty cool to make a video like that.
And no one wants to admit it.
You go back and forth between both the voices.
Pretty much. Country A borrows from country B borrows from country C, and C borrows from A. Sprinkle in central banks and institutional investors, and boom, everyone's both a lender and a borrower.
Then why don't they just, pardon each other's debt?
Morty, that would be a financial disaster. Debt isn't just money owed, it's an asset. When one country holds another's bonds, it's not a favor, it's a claim. If you cancel the debt, you destroy someone's savings, someone's pension, someone's balance sheet.
So forgiving debt would hurt the lenders?
Exactly. And since everyone's both a debtor and a lender, canceling debt would tank entire financial systems. Nobody wants to admit their assets are just promises, because if those promises break, confidence shatters.
So we all just pretend everything's fine?
That's the secret, Morty. Mutually assured dysfunction. Debt forgiveness sounds nice until your own economy gets nuked in the process. That's why even failing countries keep paying interest instead of defaulting. It's not morality, it's self-preservation.
Rick, if every country's in debt, who's lending all the money?
Morty, don't pull at that thread. It's holding together.
Check out this ancient Egyptian discovery. This part is limestone, and then this part is calcite crystal. Notice the difference here. Now, what's wild about this is all one solid piece of calcite crystal. You know how hard it is to carve this type of crystal, this stone? Look at this versus this. Limestone versus calcite. Unbelievable. And they also hid something in this design. You're going to see when he shines his flashlight on it and he angles it, you're going to see a figure that they kind of hid in the wall. Very interesting, guys. Watch this. You can see right there, look at that, the belly button, the arms, but you can only see it when you shine the flashlight on it on a weird angle. These people were so highly advanced. So highly advanced, it's unbelievable, guys. Peace and love.
The guy showed me that the T-Rex originally had wings. Think about that. Wings on the T-Rex. So then you have to wonder, that sounds exactly like a dragon. I asked the fellow, why haven't they updated this? He told me that the museum in New York City has not been updated since 1901. I wonder about when the Rockefellers were buying up all those fossils, why they wouldn't tell anybody that there were dragons flying around them. Kind of something to think about, you know? I mean, they kind of show you on the movies for a reason, to kind of keep you away and keep you deflected. But yeah, this disconnects us everything related to Mother Nature, the Earth, and just our Creator, the divine being. This is War of the Worlds, okay? There was a radio broadcast during the 1900s where the government broadcasted an alien invasion to see what people would do and see if they would go nuts. So all it really is MK Ultra. Now, when you get into the whole thing with dinosaurs, they deflect the people with the dinosaurs, but they don't show people dragons. It's on purpose. It's a deflection. The guy showed me that the T-Rex originally had wings. Think about that. Wings on the T-Rex. So then you have to...
In school, we're told that before Columbus arrived in 1492, North America was all scattered teepees and wooden huts. But archaeological records, old maps, and eyewitness accounts tell a different story. Long before the Nina Pinta and Santa Maria appeared on the horizon, massive stone and copper cities stood here, some older than European cathedrals. In the Caribbean, Columbus stopped at islands with stone fortifications
Pentagram is not evil. It represents the 5 elements, with spirit always on the top.
That imagery looked pretty freaking evil, though.
It's the most important one. So this represents spirit over matter. Now, when we turn this pentagram upside down, we get this symbol with spirit on the bottom. Now, this represents matter over spirit. This is the symbol that represents the material worship. Goat head inside of the pentagram is very symbolic. A goat is a...
You have been deceived. Terraplanists don't believe what they have shown you. That Earth floating in space is false propaganda created to ridicule the opposition. The true flat Earth we talk so much about is not in space because space does not exist. You are deceived. Satellites do not exist. The internet is transmitted by submarine cables between continents and then distributed through towers 5G. What is above is not space. It is water. The Bible calls it the sea above. That's where the stars and fake planets are. No one can go either up or sideways because we are surrounded by the Antarctic Circle. Did you know that ancient maps showed the world as it is? At the center of it all was the Garden of Eden, with 4 islands and 4 rivers running through it. All this can be clearly seen on the market map of the year 1569. That is the rest of Eden after the flood. The description of the map mentions a huge rock built in the center of the 4 islands. That is why all compasses point north, because that is...
That's pretty cool. I've heard about that one before.
So this country in Antarctica,
what about it?
How long has it been there? Why doesn't anybody know about this?
Buddy Agarthia is at least 10,000 years old. Look, when we first encountered the continent, they were already there, right? There's really no definitive way to measure how long they've existed, but look, obviously the highest ranking intelligence authorities are well aware of this place, okay? And the restrictive Antarctic treaties are the reason nobody else is. Look, the Agarthians, they don't want us in. They live within a city built on inconceivably complex architecture. Okay, pyramid-based energy systems that are reminiscent of ancient Egypt. Look, things we don't understand. We do believe that they have trade routes which lead through and beyond the ice wall, okay, connecting them to civilizations far out into the depths of the unknown lands, right? They are the bridge to a world which we have been closed off from, okay? They control the entire goddamn parameter of the ice wall. We've been studying them for decades to the best of our abilities, but it wasn't enough, and so, well, the CIA did the unthinkable, right? They captured a native Agarthian.
So this country in...
Who was God talking to when he said the man has become like one of us in Genesis chapter 3? A lot of people automatically assume that he was talking about the Holy Trinity, but the Holy Trinity did not become fully agreed upon by the Church until 325 CE, during the Council of Nicaea. So if it wasn't the Holy Trinity, who was God talking to? Something called the Divine Council. This idea of the Divine Council is...
I don't understand that video at all. What was that music?
When you first get here, they inject you with nanobot technology.
It can just be edited, though.
And then we find that NASA puts out a paper we've been studying for several weeks that they are now developing optical computers, computers run by light that can do in 1 hour what a computer today would take 11 years to do. And that this light, they have found that in order to make this work, they use membrane, organic tissue, living human tissue. And so now we're reaching the stage of proving the fact that light, God, coming down from above on an angle of light, an angel of light, a messenger particle, or as scientists say, a photon, can actually enter into our bodies and change logic circuits, change the way we think, change the way...
Who cares? They're children. They need to go to school. They need to learn about the world.
Justin! Jackson! Would you please come down here for a second?
What?
How old are you now, Jackson?
13.
Can you tell me what the Bill of Rights is?
What something costs, I guess.
It's a good guess.
I grabbed every Keanu file in the Illuminati archive.
No, they couldn't,
Okay, that's Keanu now. And
can't do that shit nowadays.
Dracula in 1992.
So if the Earth rotates around the Sun once a year, and in that one rotation there are 365 little rotations, representing 1 day per little rotation, equating to 365 with one large rotation, and 365 divided by 28 is 13. So you mean to tell me that we could equally split a year into 13 equal months?
Yeah.
This is what they look like. There are two of them. These are from our lab in Burnaby in British Columbia. From the outside, they look like giant black monoliths. Big metal boxes. About 10 feet on a side, 12 feet tall. And they are powered, they have a fridge inside them, a refrigerator that cools these chips to almost absolute zero. Just a wisp, a fraction of a degree above absolute zero.
The OG chat GPT.
Hundreds of times colder than interstellar space. Amongst the coldest and most isolated and extreme conditions that humans have ever been able to.
You are a citizen of nowhere.
Now, even if we could get you new papers, we couldn't process them until the United States recognizes your country's new diplomatic reclassification.
What's going on? It's Zavorsky. He's figured out the quarters.
That was like a real life situation.
Take your order.
He just lives at the airport.
Keep the chitch.
As acting, your energy messed up, go to the ocean.
Not all of them have souls. Over 30% of them are NPCs.
Whoa.
Player characters, yeah.
I didn't know that was possible.
It is possible. You know, there are these things
He's so confident.
inorganic
Like,
people
yeah,
that are being generated
it's
by the
possible.
negative AI that is already super sentient. And believe it or not, this negative AI actually infiltrated our world.
He could be the
And has
NPC.
been waiting for us to reach this level.
Just
of
sitting here
development in
on the
order
screen talking.
$30 million? Sure. Fuck yeah.
Scenes anyways.
This wasn't just a flood, it was a reset, a geospiritual purge, not from nature, from them. The elite bloodlines didn't just erase history, they buried it, literally. The mud wasn't water and dirt, it was liquidated memory, a slurry of alchemical reaction.
Elon Musk probably uses AI all the time. Probably got AI bots all over the place.
They triggered it using ancient
You know, help him out, chatting him up.
tower harmonics.
You know, you get stuck in your little bubble with ChatGPT. Just gassing you up all the time. Oh man, you can just imagine.
It was the empire, worldwide, unified, based on free energy, ether tech, vibration, sound, water, and sacred geometry. The architecture still whispers it. Star forts, orphan trains, cathedrals tuned like instruments. They were building with resonance, not brick, and that scared the parasite class. So what did they do? They turned the ether grid against itself, hijacked the somatic fields, triggered a resonance collapse. Stone became liquid, mountains bled. The ground rose and swallowed whole cities. That's what the mud was. Not sediment, not flood water.
It was
Resonance
doo-doo
fallout,
water.
frequency war. The so-called mud flood appears worldwide. Buried windows, half-submerged doors, cities built on top of cities, perfectly preserved ruins beneath fresh layers of soil. But there's a problem. There are no matching water systems, no mega tsunamis, no volcanic evidence. And yet, structures 20 plus feet deep, encased in packed sediment.
If there's like all those buildings down there, what if I can just like go dig down there and founded my own building?
They were powered by resonant architecture, Buildings designed to generate and receive frequency. Domes, antennas, star forts, giant tuning forks disguised as monuments. These structures didn't just look beautiful, they harnessed free energy, pulled from the ether, distributed wirelessly through geometry and sound. The enemy didn't just want to destroy the people, they needed to shut down the grid. And to do that, they had to collapse the frequency field. There's a phenomenon called soil liquefaction. Vibrate the ground at just the right frequency, and
A scientist just released footage that's making people question everything they thought they knew about our planet. The video appeared on obscure forums at 3 a.m., spreading like wildfire before authorities could contain it. Dr. Marcus Chen, a former aerospace engineer, spent 8 months in secret, building something extraordinary. A custom Raspberry Pi drone equipped with what he calls an uncompromised lens system. Unlike the curved fisheye cameras used by NASA and weather services, his setup uses a completely flat linear lens. No digital correction, no algorithmic adjustment, just pure, unfiltered reality. On March 15th, the drone began its ascent, transmitting crystal clear footage back to Chen's hidden ground station. Everything functioned perfectly as it climbed higher than any civilian drone had gone before. At 80,000 feet, the footage revealed something that shouldn't be possible. A perfectly straight horizon, no curvature, no bend, just an endless flat line that defied everything we've been told. But at exactly 85,000 feet, something went catastrophically wrong. The drone system showed green across the board, yet something was pulling it down.
It's not mechanical failure. Something is forcing it down.
The transmission cuts to black. Chen vanished that same night. The drone was never recovered, but the footage remains. A scientist just released footage that's making people question everything they thought they knew about our planet.
Is this cap?
The video appeared on obscure forums at 3 a.m., spreading like wildfire before authorities could contain it. Dr. Marcus Chen, a former aerospace engineer, spent 8 months in secret.
In this book, they were talking about how power lines can power themselves. So, what are we paying for is the question. Power lines can power themselves. This is a phenomenal book for anybody to look into. I just figured I'd throw this up here. And Central Park is interesting too, because in this book, Lost Science, Nathan B. Stubbenfield was talking about how they couldn't find any energy in Central Park. He tapped his copper rods into the park, and he couldn't find a source of free electricity. So it makes you wonder what Central Park is really hiding. You know, there's really big boulders in Central Park, and you're kind of wondering what's underneath those boulders. But Central Park was really pretty. There's a castle, just sitting in the middle of it. You know, perfectly normal, a gigantic castle with 3 different floors and a bottom floor and all of that. Went to the Met, saw the Met and the steps and that, which is another old world building.
Morbid Facts, Part 6.
I shared my...
Hey, check up. Hey, what's this? Is that $2 million? That's crazy.
Check. Did you notice? These moves by Trump during his meeting with Putin in Alaska were pure negotiating genius. Air Force One lands, Trump steps out, walks straight to his spot. Putin's plane lands after, Trump's already there, standing firm. Adjusts his jacket, little wave, a clap or two. But he's not moving an inch. He's making Putin come to him. That's not random, that's strategy. That's you want to talk, you walk to me. Same move he pulled on the Chinese leader before. It's a silent message. I'm in charge here. And when Putin finally reaches him, Trump goes for the handshake and pulls him in. The handshake mind games are next level, psychotic in the most calculated way. He exudes power. That's a real president. Then, the ultimate move. B-2 stealth bombers cutting through the sky. This isn't just a military show, it's a statement. Fly the most advanced bomber in the world over your rival's head during a handshake. Putin even glances up at it. Trump doesn't, because he already knows it's there. That's confidence. That's control. That's the art of the deal. Live and
Now this lady accidentally proved that the Earth was flat by bringing a level on a plane. She wanted to prove that it was a globe,
well,
and if it is a globe, then
the
The water in the level wouldn't stay in the middle. It would, you know...
Serious question. Why is the sky blue? What? No.
Yo, Peter, what is this Tartaria nonsense? Sounds like your brain slipped on a history book and hit rewind.
God forbid, Stewie. It was real. One of the biggest empires ever existed, and it was erased for a history and timeline reset.
Wait, like a real empire?
Yeah, more effects is pretty good.
1700s maps. Great Tartary stretched across all of Asia, Russia, even parts of Europe. Official maps, libraries, atlases. Then after 1850, gone. Replaced by civilized nations.
Maps change. Doesn't mean cover-up.
Sure, except the architecture stayed. Massive stone buildings, cathedrals, railroads built in places that supposedly had no machines, no tech, no money. Who funded that? Where are the blueprints? Where are the under construction photos?
Yeah, most old photos just show cities already finished.
Exactly. And the kicker? Mud floods. Literally.
And the kicker?
Halfway up. Buildings with windows underground, doors at the second story.
Such an AI bullshit
US,
thing.
In Europe, everywhere.
Maybe natural disasters?
Then why did orphan trains follow the mud floods? Why were hundreds of thousands of kids moved to empty cities with zero adults?
What the hell?
They didn't.
You're saying they're brainwashing. Okay, you're saying these people that are experts in
Here's the
brainwashing
kicker.
are using the Department of Education to brainwash our children.
Yes.
What are they after? Why are they doing it?
Well, if you want to move a country from a free individualistic economy,
which we have.
Yes, or had.
Or had, okay.
To a planned economy, you have to do it through the schools. You have to dumb down and brainwash, change the attitudes and values. You have to completely, social engineering has to go on constantly. And many teachers know what I'm talking about. And people are going to say, well, when did this start? And who on earth ever did this? Why would a plan like that be allowed to be carried out?
That's right.
Well, then you have to go back to 1934, which I will do, and we have to go to the three-pronged fork, okay? So I do think that the watershed year, although you can go back to the early part of the century when the Rockefeller Foundation and the Carnegie Corporation were deeply involved in education, and that it was decided then that Carnegie would deal with the international part and Rockefeller domestic. So they commissioned the American Historical Association to put together a study of the social studies, and they came up with lots of volumes, but I have one little volume, Conclusions and Recommendations for the Social Studies. And basically that little one is an original book. I wish I brought it with me. Too bad. But I don't even dare let it out of the house. It's so important. It called for changing the United States through the schools from a free individualistic economy to a socialist, collectivized, planned economy in the New World Order.
It says that in the book?
Yes.
And that book was written when?
In 1934.
By who?
It was the Carnegie Corporation paid for it. The American Historical Association put it together.
It's all real stuff.
And how do people get that book in the library?
On January 30th, 1989, two young men were working the afternoon lunch shift at a Domino's Pizza restaurant in Chamblee, Georgia. Their names were Daryl Wilson and Sean Burnset. And most weeks, this shift that they worked together was really boring because virtually nobody came into the restaurant. But on this day, at around 11 a.m., as Daryl and Sean are kind of twiddling
probably one of these creepypastas.
A man who was obviously disgruntled and very agitated stormed in the door carrying a gun, a .357 Magnum gun, so a really powerful handgun, and he aimed it straight at them. Daryl and Sean were so shocked by this that at first they didn't do anything. But then it kind of dawned on them that, oh my goodness, this guy's coming in here to rob the place. And so Daryl and Sean suddenly put their hands up and they begin saying, okay, take whatever you want, take whatever you want. And the man suddenly began shouting something at them like he wanted something. And it took Daryl and Sean a second to kind of understand what he was asking for. But when they started to process the things he was saying, they kind of understood that this did not seem like a robbery. The guy was demanding that they call Tom S. Monahan so he, this guy, the guy with the gun, can talk to Tom. Now, Daryl and Sean may have known this, but probably not, because they likely didn't care. But Tom S. Monahan, at the time, was the owner of Domino's. Not like this particular restaurant in Chamblee, Georgia, but like the entire national chain. He was the actual owner of the company. And so this guy is coming in being like, let me talk to the owner of Domino's. And so at some point, Daryl and Sean understood who Tom S. Monahan was. Perhaps the guy with the gun explained it, or maybe one of them did know who Tom S. Monahan was. But either way, Daryl and Sean suddenly realized, oh my goodness, this guy wants to talk to the owner. But they have no way of getting in touch with the owner of Domino's. They're just pizza cooks. They're not, connected to the C-suite. But when Daryl and Sean told the guy, hey, we don't know how to get in touch with the literal owner of this major franchise. Well, the guy didn't like that, and he got really frantic and began yelling and screaming like, you gotta do it, you gotta get Tom on the phone! And so Daryl and Sean are like, okay, and they grab the phone, and they try to call their own boss, because they don't know who else to call, and as they're calling their own boss, this guy fires 2 shots into the ceiling. So this is like a really high-intensity situation that's escalating really quickly. But Daryl, who actually was the one on the phone, he did his best to stay calm, and when his boss got on the other line, he tried his best to explain the situation as quickly as he could, because he could tell, you know, this guy with the gun is very close to potentially shooting them, and the boss of Daryl and Sean did understand, okay, clearly there is a crisis happening at this branch, and when Daryl said, you gotta find a way to get Tom S. Monahan on the phone, like right now, well, his boss was like, I got it. And a few minutes later, Daryl's boss, who's still on the phone with him, was like, okay, I'm going to patch you through. And then a second later, Tom S. Monahan hops on the phone, and he's like, what's going on? And at this point, Daryl just handed the phone over to the guy with the gun and said, here you go, Tom's on the phone. And the man with the gun grabbed the phone, put it to his ear, and then began rattling off these totally bizarre demands. He wanted a white limousine to show up to the restaurant to be his getaway car. He wanted $10,000 in cash, and he wanted a copy of a science fiction novel about the Freemasons called The Widow's Son. And so Daryl and Sean, who are behind the counter witnessing this, they're hearing these demands, and it's clicking for them that clearly this guy is not mentally well. This is a guy who's totally unhinged, and who knows what's going to happen. After a few minutes on the phone, the gunman hung up and then told Daryl and Sean very calmly that now the 3 of them were just going to sit in this restaurant and wait for his demands to be met. And for the next 5.5 hours, that's what they did. Daryl, Sean, and the gunman, who just kept the gun aimed at Daryl and Sean, they just sat inside of this restaurant. And at the same time, you know, by this point, the police have been called, and they're completely surrounding this restaurant. And when the gunman came into the store, because this was a very slow day, there weren't any other customers or staff inside, so it really was just Daryl, Sean, and the gunman. And so it's a total standoff. But interestingly, for Sean and Daryl, who are right there with this gunman, they started to sense that this guy was not here to hurt them. He was really after Tom S. Monahan, and over those 5.5 hours, they were just sitting there with him with his gun aimed right at them. He periodically began telling them, you know, what his gripes were with Tom S. Monahan. The gunman told Daryl and Sean that Tom was specifically targeting him, the gunman, and also Tom was secretly communicating with the gunman when the gunman didn't want to talk to him, almost like in order to eat, would have to put his weapon down to open up the box and get the pizza. And so the second they handed it over, without even communicating with each other, they kind of waited.
Oh, a research lab in Eastern Europe figured out exactly what happens to you the second you die, but then their entire research team disappeared? Tell me more. Yeah, this research team was working on a project called Project Denitas, and they figured out what happened the exact second that you die. And they were doing this by mapping consciousness and using AI integration to figure this all out. Oh, goody. So what they figured out the moment that people die is that a massive surge of gamma activity happens. And they figured out that this isn't a normal surge of gamma activity. It's way more than anyone would experience as they're alive. Okay? But they figured out this wasn't a random surge. This happened to every test subject that they did it on, and they figured out that this was some sort of structured code that was implemented. What? So they used this machine that turns brainwaves into pictures to see what this gamma wave was, and what they saw was voices, sounds, tunnels. They saw entire cities made of sound. Oh, exciting! What's that? Oh, a research lab in Eastern Europe figured out exactly what happens to you the second you die, but then their entire research team disappeared? Tell me more. Yeah, this research team was working on a project called Project Denitas, and they figured out what happened the exact second that you die. And they were doing this by mapping consciousness and using AI integration to figure this all out. Oh, goody. So what they figured out the moment that...
What's the big deal if it's round or flat? Why does it matter? You don't know where you live. You literally don't know where you live. They've hidden that from you. They've hidden where you live. This is a picture from NASA, the blue marble. You notice anything strange about it? I don't know, like how that is the exact, is that? You don't know where you live, and they mock you. They mock you. They put little dog faces in it to mock you. See the 2 eyes and the nose? They're mocking you. If you even had the slightest idea how dumb they thought we all were and how much they mocked us. Again, mocking us, this is Pluto. This is supposed to be Pluto. Do you notice anything? How about now? Do you notice anything now? Really? I had to go all the way here for you to see it? They're mocking us so deliberately and so incredibly much that it makes me feel bad for the people that still believe their nonsense. They literally think we are so dumb. And unfortunately, people aren't dumb. They're just gullible, and they believe what they're told. And they believe the things that have been fed to them for their whole lives because they've never decided to question it. Well, once you just look at the mockery, you gotta say, what is going on? And I'm gonna show you how much they mock us. This is supposedly real. Science discover cotton candy planet. I'm not making this crap up. You can go research the cotton candy planet, and NASA will tell you, yeah, they found one. Can't explain how it's formed, but it's made and it looks like cotton candy. Here's another one, right from the horse's mouth up there. This was on their social media pages. Uranus is warmer than we thought. New computer modeling reveals that Uranus generates internal heat. Are you kidding me? Stop believing what they're doing and just look at it. It's just mockery. They're literally saying, you are too stupid. You are so dumb that I am going to put the most ridiculous things
funny.
right under your
Grass
nose,
is hot.
and you're going to smell it and think it smells good and think it smells real versus just being total baloney. But it gets worse. Not only is the internal part of Uranus warmer, look, Uranus smells like farts. Astronomers have confirmed, and discovery indicates that there is a big shakeup early in the solar system that has caused Uranus to smell unpleasant, described as rotten eggs or
Your ass
farts.
stinks.
Again, right from the horse's mouth. Uranus cloud tops have in common with rotten eggs. People, do you understand what's going on here? They're literally just saying, the people are too dumb. People are trusting. They don't think that us, especially because we have the white lab coats on, would ever lie and mock them and just ridicule how stupid they are. They think you're dumb. And, well, a lot of you are proving them right.
Steal from your employee, from the people that...
Can you identify as a black person?
No,
Why?
because I'm not black.
I'm not a woman, but I can identify as a woman according to you.
If you transition, maybe.
What defines a transition?
If that's your goal, you know?
If you believe it.
Sure.
If you believe you're black, why aren't you black?
Well, that's just not, that's like genetics. That's like ancestry.
You're also born a man or a woman. It's the same thing. That's also genetics.
It was stupid.
This is one of the biggest scams in America. They take discarded woven bags and turn them into chairs sold at sky-high prices. Unsuspecting customers, drawn in by the sleek design and the so-called eco-friendly furniture, rush.
Carl Jung discovered that society's most feared individual
That's actually just a good business
is the
model.
criminal, the rebel, or the activist. It's the person everyone calls lazy, but who secretly harbors world-changing ambitions. Jung spent decades studying these individuals and found something that shattered everything psychologists believed about human potential. The lazy genius appears to do nothing, yet their ideas reshape entire industries. They seem unmotivated, but their visions are more ambitious than anyone around them. Today, I'll reveal Jung's most controversial theory about why these individuals terrify everyone around them, including you. Because what Jung found wasn't just a personality type. It was evidence that our entire understanding of achievement might be completely backwards. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the person everyone dismisses as lazy might actually be operating from the highest level of human consciousness, and why that threatens everything society believes about success. Jung's clinical practice revealed a disturbing pattern that changed how he viewed human achievement forever. He documented case after case of individuals who appeared lazy to everyone around them, but possessed insights that left him speechless. These weren't typical underachievers. They demonstrated what I like to call effortless depth, the ability to see solutions others missed, understand connections others couldn't grasp, and envision possibilities others deemed impossible. yet they seemed incapable of following basic productivity systems. Jung's observations revealed individuals whose minds operated like vast libraries, while their bodies remained frustratingly still. What I find fascinating is how society sees the stillness and judges the library unread. But that's not the most disturbing part. Jung realized these people weren't broken or unmotivated. They were accessing something that productivity culture actively destroys in most people. The pattern was consistent across dozens of cases. Brilliant insights paired with apparent inaction. Revolutionary ideas coupled with resistance to conventional achievement methods. And what Jung discovered about their minds will shock you. Here's the fascinating fact
It
Jung
will shock
uncovered.
you.
What we call lazy geniuses are actually what Jung identified as visionary creatives.
Oh no. Oh no.
I got your ass again. What the fuck is that?
Why are you doing this? So in India, there is a two-faced cow, and the locals are worshipping it as a god. Oh, you son of a ballbag. What would Jesus do? What would Muhammad say when they see you worshipping a cow? Now I know that everyone's got...
Ever notice how every war has a winner, but the same banks always profit?
Wait, you mean like they fund the wars?
They don't just fund them, sponge brain. They engineer them. Ever heard of the Rothschilds?
Aren't they just old rich guys?
Old, rich, and powerful. In 1815, after the Battle of Waterloo, Nathan...
Hi, sorry to bother you. I think you look really cute.
Oh my God, what's happening?
Damn.
Is this truck driver? Don't pull him out.
So that truck driver that murdered 3 people on the Florida Turnpike shouldn't have been able to get a CDL. And I'm not talking about morally, I'm talking about legally. Because there's 2 things that federal law requires you to provide in order to get a CDL. That is legal proof of residence in the United States of America and a valid Social Security number. Now, the only exception to that is if you're a foreigner who has authorization to work, did not have a Social Security number, and he did not have an employment CDL. So I don't want just this.
There was a dinosaur era, there was an alien era, a giants era.
Humans have been around longer for more than 2,000 years.
No, so the pyramids got built. There was a dinosaur era, there was an alien era, a giants era.
It's Naruto.
Homeless? You wake up before dawn because the street gets loud as the city stirs. Your body is stiff from sleeping on concrete, a bench, or a shelter mat. You check your few belongings to make sure nothing went missing in the night. If you have a phone, it's old, cracked, and low on battery. Wi-Fi is a hunt. Charging is a hunt. Your first goal is a bathroom and water. You aim for a fast food place, gas station, or public park, hoping staff will not turn you away. If there's a shelter, the bathroom is crowded and quick. You wipe down with a damp cloth. Clean clothes are rare. Laundry means a church day, a drop-in center, or hand washing in a sink. Food is next. You scan for a church breakfast, a soup kitchen, or use a few dollars for a dollar menu item. If you have SNAP, you can buy groceries, but you can't cook much. You eat what you can carry. Hunger never feels far away. You plan your day around safety, order, and places that won't push you out. The library is everything. Soap, gas, data, patience. At night, you check tomorrow's schedule again. You set 2 alarms. You make a list, call the landlord, reschedule the appointment, watch, and leave a buffer for gas and groceries. Yes, you also send money to a 529 or other savings.
Yeah, right.
I don't have a weapon! That's a weapon. This is a bucket! No.
Y'all know why they keep telling you that aliens are on the way? A lot of you woke up and realized that Jesus wasn't coming back. You left their religion alone and started learning about the what? Anunnaki and other stuff like that. So now, they got you believing that the Anunnaki, and it's just one plane, all right? So if you want to call it a planet, call it that. But it's one plane. That's it. And it's infinite. It is larger than you will ever. Jesus, since you took away Jesus, I'm sorry.
This is a video in San Francisco in 1906, 119 years ago. Electric cars. Where's all the electrical wires? There's no electrical wires because all of these buildings were built to harness energy from the atmosphere, from the ether, the same technology that Tesla rediscovered. Electrical car right here. You see, nothing is new under the sun. This is how the Tartarian Empire was ran. Wireless electricity, electrical cars. It's all right in front of you. They've erased our real history because they don't want you to know about our true origins. They want you to think that we're the most advanced civilization. And it's not true. It is not true. They want you paying all of your bills. They want to keep you in debt. And they want to keep you a slave to the system. No electrical wires. Electric power vehicles. This is how the world used to be. This is what they don't tell you. Peace and love.